Stop. Put your keys down. Don't start your Mazda until you've watched this entire video. I'm serious. There's something you're doing right now, maybe every single day, that's silently destroying your engine. You have no idea it's happening. No warning lights, no strange noises, nothing obvious. But every time you do this, you're causing irreversible damage to critical engine components. Damage that builds up over weeks, months, and years. By the time you notice something's wrong, you're looking at a $3,000 to $5,000 repair bill. And here's the worst part. Almost every Mazda owner does this. Dealerships don't warn you about it. Your owner's manual barely mentions it. And Mazda's YouTube channel definitely won't tell you. But I will. I've been working on Mazdas for years, and I've seen this mistake destroy perfectly good engines over and over again. Engines that should have lasted 300,000 miles. Dead at 80,000 because of this one thing. Today, I'm exposing what you're doing wrong, why it's so damaging, and exactly how to stop doing it before you destroy your engine. This might be the most important video you watch about your Mazda all year. Let's get into it. The mistake: cold start driving. Here's what you're doing wrong. You wake up in the morning, you get in your Mazda, you start the engine, and 10 seconds later, you put it in gear and drive off. That's the mistake. Driving your Mazda immediately after a cold start is one of the worst things you can do to your engine, and almost everyone does it. Why? Because modern cars seem fine when you do it. The engine starts smoothly. It doesn't stall or hesitate. Everything feels normal. But internally, massive damage is happening. Let me explain exactly what's going on inside your engine during those first few minutes after a cold start. What happens during a cold start? When your Mazda sits overnight, all the oil drains down into the oil pan at the bottom of the engine. The cylinder walls, camshafts, valve train, bearings. Everything is coated with a thin film of oil, but it's not actively being lubricated. When you start the engine, the oil pump begins circulating oil throughout the engine. But here's the problem. Cold oil is thick. At 40 degrees Fahrenheit, your 0W20 oil has the viscosity of honey. It flows slowly. It takes 15 to 30 seconds for oil pressure to build up and reach critical components like the camshafts and variable valve timing actuators. During those first 15 to 30 seconds, parts of your engine are running with minimal lubrication. That's normal. That's unavoidable. Every engine experiences this. But here's where you make it worse. If you immediately put the car in gear and start driving, you're asking the engine to work hard before the oil has fully circulated. You're accelerating. The engine is revving higher. You're climbing hills. You're merging into traffic, all while critical engine components are starving for proper lubrication. Metal rubs on metal. Microscopic wear occurs. Cylinder walls get scratched. Piston rings don't seal properly. And this happens every single time you cold start and drive immediately. Do this once? Not a big deal. Do this every day for 5 years? You've just taken 100,000 miles of life off your engine. Why modern Mazdas are more vulnerable. If you drive an older Mazda from the 1990s or early 2000s, this is less of a problem. Those engines had looser tolerances. There was more clearance between moving parts. Cold oil could still flow through the wider gaps and provide adequate lubrication. But modern Skyactiv engines, they're built to extremely tight tolerances. The clearances between pistons and cylinder walls, between bearings and journals, between cam lobes and lifters, everything is tighter to maximize efficiency and minimize friction. That's great for fuel economy. That's great for emissions. But it makes the engine much more sensitive to improper cold start procedures. When cold, thick oil has to squeeze through those tight clearances, it takes longer to reach everywhere it needs to go. And if you're driving hard during those first few minutes, you're causing accelerated wear. I've personally torn down Skyactiv engines with only 60,000 miles that had significant cylinder wall scoring and bearing wear. When I asked the owners about their driving habits, the answer was always the same. I start the car and leave immediately. I'm usually in a hurry. That's all it took. 5 years of cold starts and immediate driving, and the engine was worn out prematurely. The science, oil viscosity and temperature. Let me give you some numbers to show you exactly how much this matters. At 20 degrees Fahrenheit, a cold winter morning, 0W20 oil has a viscosity about 15 times thicker than at operating temperature. 200 degrees Fahrenheit. At 40 degrees Fahrenheit, a cool fall morning, it's still about 8 times thicker. Even at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, a warm day, the oil is still 3 to 4 times thicker than at operating temperature. That thick oil flows slowly through narrow oil passages. It takes time to build pressure and reach all the critical areas. And it's not just the oil. The engine itself is cold. The metal components haven't expanded to their operating dimensions yet. Pistons are slightly smaller when cold. Cylinder walls are slightly smaller. The clearances are even tighter than normal. When you rev the engine before it's warmed up, those cold pistons are slapping against cold cylinder walls with an adequate oil film between them. Result: accelerated wear, reduced engine life, eventual failure. Before we continue, if you want the complete guide to proper Mazda startup procedures, maintenance schedules, and everything you need to protect your engine for 500,000 miles, click the link in the description to download your 500,000-mile car maintenance blueprint. It covers the right way to start, warm up, and drive your Mazda to maximize engine life. All right, let's keep going. The right way to start your Mazda. Here's the correct procedure for starting your Mazda and protecting your engine. Step 1. Start the engine and let it idle for 30 to 60 seconds. Don't touch the gas pedal, just let it idle. This gives the oil pump time to build pressure and circulate oil throughout the engine. You'll notice the idle is slightly higher when the engine is cold. That's normal. The ECU is programmed to do this to help the engine warm up faster. After 30 to 60 seconds, the idle will drop slightly. That's your signal that oil pressure has stabilized. Step 2. Drive gently for the first 5 to 10 minutes. Once you've let it idle for a minute, you can start driving. But drive gently. Keep RPMs below 3,000. Accelerate smoothly. Don't floor it. Don't climb steep hills if you can avoid it. The goal is to warm up the engine gradually under light load. Step 3. Wait for the engine to reach operating temperature. Your temperature gauge should be in the middle of the range before you drive normally. For most Mazdas, this takes 5 to 10 minutes of gentle driving. In very cold weather, it might take 15 minutes. Once the gauge is in the middle, the engine is at operating temperature. Oil is thin and flowing properly. Metal components have expanded to their correct dimensions. Now you can drive normally. Accelerate hard if you want. Rev to redline. The engine is ready. Step 4. Never let the engine idle for extended periods to warm up. Some people think you should let the car idle in the driveway for 10 minutes before driving. Wrong. Idling doesn't warm up the engine efficiently. The engine needs to be under light load to generate enough heat to reach operating temperature quickly. Extended idling waste fuel increases emissions and can actually cause carbon buildup in direct injection engines like Skyactiv. The best way to warm up is to idle for 30 to 60 seconds, then drive gently. Follow this procedure every single time you start your Mazda, and you'll add years to your engine's life. If you're enjoying this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. This helps me bring you more honest car advice for my Mazda guys. What about remote start? A lot of newer Mazdas have remote start. You press a button on your key fob, the car starts, and you can let it warm up while you finish getting ready. Is that better or worse? It's better, but only if you use it correctly. If you remote start your Mazda and let it idle for 5 to 10 minutes before driving, you're giving the oil plenty of time to circulate and the engine to begin warming up. That's good. But here's the mistake people make. They remote start, The car idles for 10 minutes, and then they immediately drive aggressively. The engine still isn't at full operating temperature. The coolant is warm, but the oil might only be at 100 degrees Fahrenheit instead of the ideal 200 degrees Fahrenheit. You still need to drive gently for the first few minutes after remote starting. Remote start is a helpful tool, but it's not a free pass to skip the warm-up driving phase. Cold weather makes this 10 times worse. Everything I've said so far applies year-round, but in cold weather the consequences are magnified. When it's 20 degrees Fahrenheit outside, your oil is incredibly thick. Your engine components are contracted even tighter. Starting the car and driving immediately in freezing temperatures is absolutely brutal on your engine. I live in an area with cold winters, and I see this all the time. Customers come in with Mazdas that have significant engine wear at relatively low mileage. When I ask about their driving habits, they say, "I live in Minnesota. I start the car and drive to work every morning in minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit weather, with oil that's as thick as molasses, with engine components that haven't expanded yet. It's a disaster." If you live in a cold climate, you need to be even more careful about your warm-up procedure. Idle for a full minute. Drive very gently for the first 10 to 15 minutes. Don't touch the highway until the temperature gauge is in the middle. Your engine will thank you. The turbo exception. If you have a turbocharged Mazda, CX-9, Mazda 3 Turbo, CX-50 Turbo, CX-90, this advice is even more critical. Turbochargers spin at extremely high speeds, up to 100,000 to 150,000 revolutions per minute. They rely on a constant supply of clean, thin oil to lubricate the bearings. If you start a turbocharged engine and immediately drive hard before the oil has warmed up, you're starving the turbo of proper lubrication. Turbo bearings wear out. The turbo starts making noise. Eventually, it fails. A new turbocharger costs $2,000 to $4,000 installed, all because you didn't wait 30 seconds before driving. If you have a turbo Mazda, follow the warm-up procedure religiously. No exceptions. The flip side, cool down after hard driving. Here's something most people don't know. You should also let turbocharged engines idle for 30 to 60 seconds after hard driving before shutting them off. Why? When you're driving hard, the turbo is spinning at maximum speed and generating a lot of heat. If you immediately shut off the engine, oil flow stops, but the turbo is still extremely hot. The oil sitting in the turbo bearings can cook and form deposits, damaging the turbo over time. The solution? After hard driving, highway pulls, mountain driving, spirited driving, let the engine idle for 30 to 60 seconds before shutting it off. This allows cooler oil to circulate through the turbo and gradually cool it down. Most modern turbo Mazdas have electric oil pumps that continue running for a short time after shutdown to handle this automatically, but it's still good practice to let it idle briefly after hard driving. The long-term benefits of proper warm-up. Let's talk about what you gain by following this advice. If you start your Mazda properly and warm it up gently every single time, here's what you're preventing: cylinder wall scoring, piston ring, wear, bearing wear, timing chain stretch, variable valve timing actuator failures, oil consumption issues, premature engine failure. And here's what you're gaining: an engine that lasts 300,000 plus miles instead of dying at 100,000. Lower oil consumption as the engine ages. Better fuel economy because the engine runs more efficiently. Fewer repairs and lower long-term costs. Peace of mind knowing you're taking care of your investment. Is it worth waiting 30 to 60 seconds before driving? Absolutely. Is it worth driving gently for 5 to 10 minutes? Without question. Those few extra minutes every day can add decades to your engine's life. What if you've already been doing this wrong? Maybe you've been driving your Mazda for years, and you've been starting and driving immediately every single time. Is your engine already damaged? Possibly. But it's not too late to stop making it worse. Here's what you should do. Start following the proper warm-up procedure immediately. From today forward, Idle for 30 to 60 seconds and drive gently until the engine is warm. Change your oil more frequently. If you've been hard on your engine with improper warm-ups, change your oil every 3,000 to 4,000 miles instead of 5,000. This flushes out any metal particles from accelerated wear. Get an oil analysis. Send a sample of your used oil to Blackstone Labs, $30. They'll tell you if your engine has abnormal wear metals. If wear is high, you know you need to be extra careful going forward. Listen for unusual noises. Ticking from the valve train, knocking from the bottom end, or rattling on startup can indicate wear. If you hear these, get your engine inspected by a mechanic. Monitor oil consumption. If your engine starts burning oil, you have to add a quart between oil changes. That's a sign of piston ring or cylinder wall wear. Address it before it gets worse. The good news? Engines are resilient. If you stop the abuse now and start following proper procedures, your engine can still last a long time. And if you want the complete guide to protecting your Mazda's engine, reversing damage, and making it last 500,000 miles, grab your 500,000-mile car maintenance blueprint from the link in the description. It covers everything from proper startup procedures to advanced maintenance that keeps your engine running like new. The bottom line: don't drive your Mazda immediately after a cold start. Idle for 30 to 60 seconds. Drive gently for 5 to 10 minutes. Wait for operating temperature before driving hard. This simple habit will add tens of thousands of miles, maybe even 100,000 miles to your engine's life. It costs you nothing but a few minutes of patience, and it prevents thousands of dollars in repairs down the road. Your Mazda is built to last. Skyactiv engines are some of the most reliable on the market, but only if you treat them right. Stop rushing. Stop flooring it when the engine is cold. Stop treating your Mazda like it's indestructible. Give it the warm-up it needs, and it'll reward you with decades of trouble-free driving. If you found these tips helpful, be sure to watch this next video as we're sharing insider tips to help you cut repair costs and keep your car running like new.